We are back in my kitchen because it is another Forex Friday. Let's get right into it. Hi guys, welcome back to another video and another Forex Friday. If it is your first Forex Friday, this is when I go over the trades that I took and didn't take last week, all of the reasons behind them, and maybe a thing or two to look out for next week. So if you enjoy these videos and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. So this week was a little bit quieter than last week when we saw and had FOMC last week. This week there was some fundamental news that came out. There was some central banks that spoke, but really it was equities that took over the attention for the week. So we started off with Monday when I had 3 trades that just missed. I had some pending orders that were missed. It was GA, GN, and EA, I believe. But it was interesting at the beginning of the week to look at these setups because they were all lining up together. And for me, that's an added confluence that has been working really well lately. It's a good reason to add an additional confluence for why you're going to take a trade, but also a reason equally for why you may not take a trade. So we're gonna go over that in the charts. On Tuesday, I had a buy on EN that triggered that did about 50 pips, and then the rest of my position got out at break even overnight. I mentioned all these setups throughout the week on my Twitter account, so the link is down below if that's something that you're interested in. And later on in the week, we had a couple other setups. So I wanna hop into the charts and we'll go over all of those good things. So let's do it. Okay, so we're gonna start off by going over the 3 trades that were just slightly missed on Monday. Those trades were EN, GN, and GA. Now, all of those pairs were lining up nicely for a buy, which, as I mentioned, added an extra confluence for me. But we're gonna go over the charts and we'll be able to see the similarities and the differences between the setups and why I was looking to take them. So starting off here with EN, the buy that I was looking to take was at the 50 fib. Now the 50 fib isn't my favorite fib level to use, but I was looking specifically in this case to use this one because of the added confluences around the 50 fib. So on top of it, we had this really strong key level, which coincided with the psychological level of 1.70. On top of that, we had this 50 SMA that was coming up that would add an extra level of support. So what happened? As we can see, we hit the 38 fib and bounced. There was a little bit of drawdown and it came awfully close to the 50 level before moving higher. So since it didn't hit and it did move in the direction that we were looking for it to move, it became much higher risk, and for that reason I canceled this pending. So that's EN. Next, the next setup is GN, which I was looking to take the buy at this 61 fib level. Now, as you can see, it did hit my box area, but unfortunately my pending was about 1 or 2 pips lower, and I was not on the screens, I was not on the charts at the time, so I didn't take it live. Not that I usually do, but perhaps there would have been an opportunity. The reason why I had this box drawn was because there was a possibility of it lining up with this trend line 4th touch, so slightly higher risk, but that was backed up by a 61 fib drawn from this low to this high, and then the 1.98 area. So similar to EN that we just went over, that was at the round number of 1.70. I think it was 1.70. This was 1.98, so an extra key level and an extra added psychological level for that. So again, nothing fancy. I'm just trying to build up these areas where there's a lot of different tech lined up in the same spot, which will offer a high probability of a reversal and a trade going our way. So that was slightly missed, but that worked out really nicely. The third trade that was just slightly missed on Monday was this setup on GA. Again, it was a 61 fib similar to our other trades, and depending on the time that it was going to hit, we would have had the trend line touch from this low. We had these touches and then this here as well. And this 100 SMA would have added an extra level of support, as well as this line coming across, which is difficult to see in this screenshot, but it's a channel that is drawn on the daily chart. So I encourage you to go check that out and find it for yourself on GA. But it acts as a key level trend line, and in this case, it's a pretty strong one. We have touches here, 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 and all throughout here. So it's a strong key level trend line that would have worked well. So what happened, we bounced on the 38, we bounced on the 50, and we moved higher. And since we went on to make a slightly newer high, I canceled the pending. So that's GA. Those are the three that were just missed on Monday, but I wasn't too concerned because sometimes Mondays can be a little bit erratic as the market starts to position itself for the week. So that was that. The first trade of the week that I did manage to enter on was a buy on Euro New Zealand. Now this trade was a buy right from this box area. Now, I've been taking screenshots of my trades so I stay up to date with everything, as things can get a little bit jumbled by the end of the week and a little bit confusing. So it shows on this screenshot that my buy was at 1.70, but actually I had it a little bit lower. And the reason for that was because I thought that a lot of traders would have their buy positions at 1.70 with really tight stop losses. So I knew that there was a chance of the price dropping further to the 61 fib and then moving higher. And the second reason for it is because of this price action right here. So as you can see, we hit the 50 fib and then we pushed higher, and then price started to come back down. So if a liquidity grab were to happen, price is going to move lower than your initial entry if you did get in on this 50 fib, and in order to grab more orders and then move higher. So you need to prepare yourself for more drawdown. So in this case, I lowered my pending to the 61 fib, so actually lower than this green box, and as you can see, it worked out nicely. I mentioned on my Twitter account when I took the trade that I had secured profit at plus 30 pips and I moved my stop loss to break even. It wanted to do about 50 pips. I secured a little bit more profit at that area, and then the rest of my position closed out at break even. So it wasn't hundreds and hundreds of pips this trade, but I did manage to catch a few. So that was that setup. So 61 fib key level and just below the round psychological level, 1.70. So now we're going to look at the trades that happened later on in the week, specifically EA, GA, and GN. Now there was a lot of bearishness in the pound this Thursday because of the Bank of England meeting, where there were no hawks that came out that showed any signs of increasing rates and tightening monetary policy anytime soon. So because of that, there was a sell-off in the pound. So this Friday on GN, I was interested in this area here, this potential buy at 1.96. But the problem with this setup is that it was really only a key level and a round number. There was no fib and there was no moving averages or anything like that. So it was higher risk. So I had this note here to check GA or gold, that should say, or. So as you can see, it actually reacted to 1.96 absolutely perfectly. I didn't take this trade, but I think it's a good learning opportunity nonetheless. The reason why I wanted to check GA or gold is to see if they were also going to be lining up on any support levels. And the reason why I didn't take this is because GA was not lining up with any other support. But nonetheless, and also considering it was Friday, late in the afternoon, it was much higher risk. So I didn't take this trade, but interesting to see that it did work out nicely. If we do look at GA, if I were to take GN, which we just looked at, the level that I was looking GA to line up with was 1.825, which would have been around here. Now we did come close to this level, but I wanted it to be more in line with the 38 fib and this trend line, as well as, again, the weekly EMAs, which I have this note at. If we jump onto the daily, no moving averages, but if we jump onto the weekly, you can see that we have the 100 and 200 moving average on the weekly coming up. So I didn't want this trade to hit this week. We need a little bit more time for the moving averages to come up and for price to hit that trend line. So that could be something to look out for next week, but it is higher risk because of the fact that we came so close to it and moved. Finally, let's have a look at EA. I was looking to take a buy on the 38 fib at 1.57, which was also the daily 100 moving average. So very strong level, also a key level. We see wicks all across. And we came close today. As you can see, we came within 10 or so pips of this pending. So and we moved higher. So for that reason, I canceled that and we came very close. So this happens a lot in trading, and when I first started out, it was incredibly frustrating. But I find it helps to just focus on the fact that your setups and your ideas worked, and even though you didn't get into this one, you can get into the next one. There's always another trade to take. So 1.57 is what I was looking at, and that was missed. So we'll see what happens next week if we get a good pullback and maybe short opportunity, or maybe we'll move lower and we'll eventually get into a buy. So that's everything for this week, guys. Let me know in the comment section what trades you took, what you think of these setups, and what you're looking out for next week. If you made it this far, as always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.